Righty ho, everyone. Welcome aboard for the final Trading Buddies of the week. We hope you are surviving, if not piling lots of money into your account. Nothing terribly exciting going on from my point of view. One up, none down yet. But that's about it, I've got to say. A lot of orders that haven't been triggered this week so far. I have got a new one for you guys that I placed not long ago. I'll share that with you after the pound breakout. Gee, we could do with a winner on that, could we not? Absolutely. I mean, I don't count the pound breakup in my weekly stats, I'd have to say. And if I did, I'd be behind because it hasn't been performing that well, that's for sure. Let's see if today is any different. And we will go right there right now and see what we can see. Hi, Swee. How you doing? Righto, we've got a 5-bar range. Again, we are using the optimized version, which dictates that we use 5 1-hour candles prior to London Open. That today is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Almost a genuine range. The low, it will be that bar. The high will be that bar at this point in time. That's not going to change. So I think we can safely place the short, can we not? So I'll give you the level on that. It will be at 1.3931. Yeah, that looks right. So that's going to be the sell. Well, very close to yesterday's. That's not a good thing, I've got to tell you. It means the market's done nothing since, basically. And the stop loss on that will be above the range, 3 pips. Sorry, I just gave you the wrong level, by the way. I didn't take 2 off, did I? The stop loss will be 3 above the high of that bar rounded up. So that's going to be 1.3952 plus 3 pips. So it'll be 1.3955. That will be the stop loss. So let me get that entry right. 1.3929 it will be. 2 pips under the low of the bar. So at the moment, with 2 minutes to go, those will be the parameters for the short. The long will be exactly the reverse of that. So the buy will be at 1.3955 and the sell will be at the stop loss will be at 1.3829. Paul P, yes, mate. We're all hoping for some nice pips today. That would be good. Looks a bit rangy, this, doesn't it? Top of range, bottom, lower, high. The other thing I see is a double cross at the daily pivot. Tough bird to catch, the pound at the moment, I've got to say. Righto, with 1.5 minutes to go, we will put those parameters in. And if it changes, we'll change with it. 3955 will be the buy. And 3929 will be the stop loss for the buy. Righto. So I'll get ready to put those in the market. We better have the long first, I would imagine. So it'll be a buy stop again. Just my normal everyday warning that this is not a proven system or strategy, so do not trade this with any meaningful money on the table. Micro lots only, if at all. 1.3955. That doesn't make any sense. Gee whiz, I get misled by this thing. Sorry, I'm giving you the wrong levels here. The high of that bar is 1.39676. So that becomes 683970 is the entry. My apologies. This charting used to be so easily. You put your crosshairs there and it'll give you the exact level, but it's not the case anymore. Okay, so let's go again. 1.3970 is the entry for the long and the stop loss for the short. We'll put that in the market. 1.3970. And the stop loss, well, I hope that's right, at 3929, 1.3929. Okay. At least we've got a reasonable reward today on that side of the ledger. So the reverse of that will be stop loss 1.3970, not 55. So that's in the market. The sell stop now will be 1.3929. And stop loss 1.3970. Okay, that's the optimized version. Now, if you were trading my way, and you would be using the 3 bars, right? Not the 5 bars. So you'd be having a very narrow range. The entry would be 3 pips below that. So it would be 1.3967. And the stop loss would be, trading that bar, 1.3949. I'll write that down. 1.3967. My pen won't write. There it goes. And the stop loss would be 1.3949. TP1, therefore, would be at 1.3976. And TP2 would be 36 onto that is 03, 1.4003. Okay, that's my system. So I'll just update you on which one of those does what. Yesterday, I think they both failed yesterday again. I think my system missed TP1 by that much, which of course is very, very frustrating. But sometimes that's the way she goes. All right, I'm just losing my charts by the sound of things. I hope I haven't lost the connection to you guys, because that wouldn't be good. Ash will be in very shortly, of course, as we know. He's getting the late mail. We'll quiz him on that very shortly. I'll update you on the order that I took this morning. You will recall my charts have frozen, so just bear with me for a sec. You will recall that yesterday we had an order long on euro pound. What the connector is going on here? And how do I rectify that? There's a good question. Just bear with me, guys. They're the parameters anyway. If you want to follow that trade, I've changed things a little bit. The buy is still a buy. How do I get that back? View. Full screen. There you go. So yesterday we had an order, and now I've got no bloody toolbar. God, striker jacks. These things are sent to try me. And guess what? They certainly do. Righto, let's try again. So yesterday, or was it Monday or Tuesday? I can't remember, when we actually placed this order. Yeah, it was this bar here. So we were trading this bar here, anticipating that would be a higher low, which would force price at least to the monthly pivot, certainly to the trend line and beyond, maybe to this level here. And that's really as much as we wanted to have a look at, that level there, and that remains the case. I don't want to trade this beyond there. But we have had 2 inside bars since on the daily chart, and currently we're going once again in the opposite direction. Pardon me. But I did spot an opportunity to change the order. We were entering up here above the range, and our stop loss was down here somewhere. I can't remember exactly. But we've since got on the 4-hour chart, and we flagged this in the preview this morning. If this was to happen, we may change our entry, and that's exactly what I've done. So I put my entry above that candle there, as a matter of fact, and the stop loss, I think, below that candle as well. Let me just check that. I can't remember where exactly I put the stop loss. 86.28. Yeah, there's a few pips below there. That's right. Okay. So the idea was that we're playing, once again, a false break of the support trade line. But not only that, it's a double cross of the daily pivot. It's a double cross of the weekly pivot. And I like to play those double crosses. But at this point in time, price seems to be running in the opposite direction. That's okay. We'll hang on to that. If there's a close below these lows, then we'll reassess and probably change everything. Trades that we are still in pound Kiwi. We're still in pound Kiwi, and that just refuses to do anything. We've had a look at that trend line again, or that trade line again, but come straight back off at daily pivot, currently holding price up. I moved TP1. That's what I needed to tell you guys, and I haven't put that on display at this point. So reason I moved TP1 is pretty much because of DR1. DR1 has bobbed up there, and rather than trade through it, I thought it might be just sensible to take profit there if we were fortunate enough to get this back up there, of course. So the stop loss is currently, is it 92.90? I think it is. Yes, it is. 92.90. So we'll see how that goes. We need the pound to, of course, rally and get through that level. Look, on the balance of what I'm seeing in front of me, I'm still a little bit of a bull on pound Kiwi because of, you know, the double bottom, the higher low, the higher high, the higher low. And now we've just gone into this inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, inside bar consolidation area, right where the pivots are. And as we all know, when the pivots come together, which of course was the first of the month, it does take a little bit to get away from them. And that is very much the case with pound Kiwi at the moment. So nothing doing there. We are slightly in drawdown. I'm hoping for a little bit of a rally, at least to TP1 and then beyond. As I say, the structure hasn't changed for me. I think that's still intact. These candles here, of course, on the weekly chart are telling you pretty much that the market's got absolutely no idea what it wants to do, and nor it has, really. You look at all of these bars, 1, 2, 3, there's a little bit of a decisive bar. Then we got a high test bar rejection. Then we got a low test bar rejection. It's pretty much all over the shop, isn't it? I know we did have Mr. Orr speaking overnight. I don't know that made too much difference, did it? He would have spoken here, I would have imagined, yes. So the Kiwi rallied a little bit on the back of what he had to say by the look of it. Maybe that's going to continue. Hard to say. Aussie Kiwi. Aussie Kiwi, we took this was the trade that we took right on the death knell last night. And we entered here. Our TP1 was here. We got TP1, no problem. So a free trade, but that's it. It didn't go any further. So no result there for us, just a break-even trade, but lovely little setup there for an intraday. And, you know, that's what I continue to bark on about. I know if you're trading intraday on small time frames, my style, then you've just got to take these profits when they're available and where they're available. And DR1 yesterday was, I think, pretty much in a similar position, maybe a little bit higher. So that, again, proves its weight in gold, because otherwise, if you didn't take your TP1 there, guess what? You're out. Righto, I think I'm up to date. I'm waiting. I still got $UCAD CAD. I put that back in the market again for, I think, the 4th day in a row. I think I traded this on Monday. We'll put the order in on Monday. I put the order in again on Tuesday and Wednesday, and again, I've done it this morning. Just looking for a confirmation. Well, not necessarily a confirmation. We've already really had that in the higher lows. I'm just looking for this to break out really now, but it's telling me that this is a false break of support, double cross of the pivots. What else do I need? It's just inside bars from then on. So, you know, very, very similar. The setups are absolutely rock solid, but the price is just not playing ball. It's not doing nothing, sitting there doing SFA. Ash, how you doing, mate?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not surprised it's doing SFA today. It's been pretty quiet across the board.
Why? What's going on? What are they waiting for?
Well, there's not a lot going on, mate. I mean, we had a bit of a downturn with the Nasdaq yesterday, and I suppose the Nasdaq's performing as you would expect it would do. Things are, you know, it's struggling. I'm just bringing up the bond price here. Hold on 1 second. I just want to see what it is today. Where were we at? Treasury 1.42. Okay. So the 10 years at 1.42. It's and I think the question is, does it get capped here? Because this, there is some, I think, a case to be made for some resistance at this particular point. And there's not a lot in the way of data today. I mean, we did have, I think Brainard was it yesterday we had Brainard?
I don't know.
Or was it the day before? Powell is today, and yeah, I mean, we had quite a lot of data yesterday, didn't we? With the ISM was weak yesterday. I'll show you my charts, mate. Yeah, not a good day yesterday, really, for showing expansion in the US. We had services, ISM services PMI coming in at 55. So actually quite a big drop. You know, 3 points is quite a big drop for the services PMI data. And we had the budget, of course, yesterday as well, mate, from the UK.
Yeah, what happened there? It didn't seem to do too much.
No, well, I think what we effectively know now is how Rishi Sunak is going to try and claw back some of the money, and it's not going to be through the Singapore, the post-Brexit Singapore-style economy that people thought that might be the case. It sounds like he is going to be hiking up some business rates. And getting some of the wealthier to pay for the pandemic. And I don't think, too many people were too surprised. And I'm, from what I gather, they're still relatively popular. And I think you'd have to look in certain parts of the economy and certain parts of the stock market to get the opportunity out of it. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen what. Let's have a quick look at Taylor Wimpey today, because I think, if we were to look at some of these housing stocks, then they would probably be doing pretty well right now. I'll just put in Taylor Wimpey and just have a quick look at what their price is today, because there was some further help for housing. Yeah, actually down 1.35% today. So maybe not the movement I thought there would be after the budget. Maybe some of it is priced in. Let's just have a quick look at generally what's happening with the FTSE 100 right now. So the biggest market cap, you can see that there's a little bit of a downturn in some of these industrial metals with BHP and Rio Tinto. So quite notable, I'd say, those two industrial metal. The two big industrial metal behemoths in the FTSE 100, both of them down. A combined total of 10%, but 4% and 6% respectively. So there is something going on there that needs to be looked into. I'm not quite sure why those two are doing so poorly. I'm sure we'd be able to kind of dig in and find out somehow. But let's see if there's anything with that. Let's just bring this up here. Dividend. Okay, nothing really. So there's nothing notable going on. I don't think there's anything massively notable going on. And then if we have a look at the chart of the FTSE 100, doesn't really know what it's doing. Another relatively negative close by the end of the day. This head and shoulders pattern is still forming, and if we are looking at, I suppose, symmetry between the left and right shoulder, then it probably has a few more days. Let's measure it and see. It's probably got a few more days before we can confidently say it's time to get in. Technically speaking, now I don't know what's going to be the driver, and I suppose we could probably have a look out to see what the data releases are going to be to get the driver. But that's the left shoulder there. Now, if we move this along and have a look at the right shoulder, probably.
Hey, Paresh, how you doing?
Yeah, that actually suggests that we got another 2 weeks before this is to really play out. What you can sometimes do with this stuff is that it can get a bit confusing because the head and shoulders pattern might be here. That might be the left shoulder. It's a little bit complex. It's a complex head and shoulders because the left shoulder's kind of got two humps rather than the one. Now, if that was in play, then we're right on top of the right shoulder timing. So if this is the left shoulder,
I think either way, mate, I'd like to play that channel that's there. That looks pretty clear to me.
Okay, so just tell me what you mean.
That is the head and shoulders.
Oh, that is the head and yeah. Well, so playing this short.
Yep. Well,
yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it's always tricky, isn't it? Trying to short the stocks. I just don't know that the 10-year bond yield is problematic. But if you look around at what's been affected by it, the S&P has been negatively affected, but probably because it's got quite a few growth stocks in there. But this is the Russell 2000. I mean, okay, it is negative, but I'm still looking for the Russell 2000 to come down here. This isn't really showing the same kind of negativity as we've seen, let's say, with the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq has had an attempt and probably has created a lower high now as well. So you could argue that this is now in a downtrend, where I think if you looked at the Russell, you'd probably say that this is in a range. And I think you could probably make an argument potentially for the Nasdaq as well, but it looks a lot cleaner. That the Russell looks like it's in a range, and I'm not sure where this trend line's going, but let's have a quick look at that. Yeah, we're right on top of the trend line there. So there's a little bit of weakness in the US stock market, which is potentially going to filter through to the FTSE, and I could see why you'd want to make the case for some downside, and maybe I would too. I think that there's possibly enough in there to suggest that we could get some downside, but I just don't know what the spark is going to be. And I wonder, and the only way that you can get any kind of assumption on what a spark is by having a look at some data points and saying, okay, is it going to be this one? And if it is, are we early, late, or right on top of it? And I was just bringing this up. Actually, we can talk about something else as well in a moment here. Let's just see this. Here we go. Why is that not done? Oh, I see why. There we go. Let's have a look at up next. So this could be the driver. Now, I don't know what Jerome Powell is due to speak about the U.S. economy. So it's going to be a significant event, I would have thought, for the day. Now, I don't know whether it will be the significant event for the week, because we've already had some fairly protracted moves in the stock market, but it could end up being a driver. The question really that I'd like to come up is about the bond prices. What are they looking to do anything now? At this stage, what we have is a US economy. Now, we did look at the start. Let's just look from the start of the month. At this stage, we've got a US economy which is bubbling along okay. ISM manufacturing was a pretty stellar number. Construction spending is expecting some expansion in prices, as is manufacturing prices as well. So we're seeing a little tick up in some of the inflation data here. Now that hasn't, so when you see this stuff, this is the stuff that the builders and the people making the products are paying. But we haven't necessarily seen that filter through to the consumer as yet, but it could be a little early indication. So that looks okay there, you know, for the US economy, bubbling over okay. But when you start to look at some of the other, Ward's total vehicle sales, I mean, it's a little bit worse than before, but it's still a relatively decent number. You know, it's not anywhere down here, but it is showing a little bit of contraction. And if we look also at what we had, the employment change, this is the one that I thought was the most notable yesterday. You know, nowhere near the projection that it's almost half. I think you could argue for, you know, maybe 40% or something like that. But you could almost argue that's near enough half of the previous, and maybe more importantly what they're expecting. So the jobs number and the employment picture in America just isn't quite coming back. Then you get this final services, this ISM services PMI number, which is also showing just a little bit of cooling off. Now, it could be seasonal, you know, that if that was seasonally adjusted, I don't know. But the expectation was at 58 and it came in at 55. So I suppose, Jerome, the question is, does any of this kind of worry the Fed? Is it too early to say, okay, we are getting a little bit of cooling off, but those prices are starting to push forward a little bit, as we saw in the construction number, and we saw in the ISM. Where was it? I can't remember where it was now, but the ISM numbers as well. You know, the ISM costs. That the ISM, the manufacturers were paying, those are starting to go up. Now, I don't know whether, as I say, whether that's too early for the Fed. They tend to be quite measured in their moves, but there will be a question about it, and that's the thing that we should be listening out for. You know, what's the problem with employment? You know, how are they going to kind of continue to spark the employment? Is there going to be an issue if we continue to see these bond yields going to 1.4%? Is there going to be any attempt to curb that bond yield, you know, the yield curve kind of steepening, and I wonder whether the market may well react off the back of that, because if he says no, and those bond yields are allowed to go wherever they're allowed to go, then that wouldn't be that surprising after that to see a downturn in the FTSE, a downturn in the Nasdaq, a downturn in the Russell, a downturn in the S&P, and maybe a downturn in the Dow as well, and then we're looking for this area to provide us with a decent enough setup to get into. But look out! I mean, this is where we've opened up. It's currently a doji bar. We're only 20 minutes in, but it's not that regular that you see prices pretty much going nowhere. It doesn't really know where it's likely to go at this stage. I suppose you could say that there's oh no, what have I just done there? Hold on, mate. I've got to make sure I haven't just put on a trade there.
What with a trend line? That's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, do you know, I keep hitting these buttons.
Looks like you have.
I have, yeah. Just heard my thing. Good job my ears are working. Let me just move this down out of the way because I can't. Get away. Yeah. Keep doing that, sort of. Yeah, because obviously if you click to the left and then right click by accident. I might have even double clicked it by accident, but I've got a little bit of a trigger finger going on here where my fingers start to twitch. That's the second time I've done that in 2 days. This is dangerous. No, it's not good at all. Good job. I was low enough, below price enough to kind of fix it up. But it looks pretty quiet, mate. But also you can see there's a head and shoulders pattern forming here. So I suppose technically speaking, yes, there looks like some downside. I don't know, you know, that this BHP, you know, when we just looked at this, when we just looked at the pricing points here, BHP and Rio Tinto, that is a big drop. You know, that is a huge drop really for the day.
Yeah, they're big companies to be dropping that much.
Yeah, and these are both linked to Australia, right?
Yes, indeed.
So let's have a look at. I mean, I don't know whether you're seeing anything on the charts, but let's have a look at what's happening to the Aussie, because that may
BHP
well give us...
is known as the big Australian.
It's the big. Is it right? Okay. Well, what's going on then? Aussie's actually so far. I wonder if it's giving us a little bit of an insight that that the Aussie could be ready to come down here, mate. I mean, that would be quite interesting. If that's the case, we should start watching BHP and Rio Tinto as a bit of a barometer. If this
Yeah, I'd
weakens
like to
today,
know the reason. Reason probably means everything.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not been reported on my system here about BHP. Let's have a look at Rio Tinto and see if that's providing us anything. Prudential plans to raise, no. Rio Tinto chair, London market open, Ashtead outlook. I don't know, mate. I don't know. Rio Tinto plans disputes, tax bill, dividends, directorial change. Yeah, it looks like a broader story, whatever it is. You know, both industrial metals. I mean, they're not only down, but they look like they're actually gathering some pace. Not many in the FTSE 100 that are positive, and the ones that are negative are just a little bit under. This is not indicative of a sell-off, but the fact that you've got two of the bigger players here in the industrial metals area of the FTSE 100 so far down shows that we shouldn't be buying the FTSE today, or certainly not on this period. If some of these others start to turn around as well, then it looks like we will be looking to sell. The selling pressure is quite muted, except for these two. But there's probably, maybe a way to play that. I will be interested to watch whether, to see whether that does have any effect on the Aussie. Not those two, but whether the story actually has anything to do with what's happening in Australia rather than with those two companies, because it's strange that they're both getting affected. And yet there doesn't seem to be anything kind of micro. There's no micro news on it. So it looks like a macro event potentially.
Yeah, I haven't been anywhere near a news event today or a news broadcast, so I'm not up to speed with what's going on in Australia. But I can't help you there, I'm afraid.
When it comes down to the other bits and pieces, what else is notable? What's going on with the yen? Nothing really. It's quite a quiet start, isn't it, mate?
It's a very, I would say, muffled start to the month.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And, the majors seem to be all over the shop.
They do. Bitcoin, really, always interested in what's going on with Bitcoin. And interesting, we were talking about this yesterday. But Bitcoin looks like it might be making a lower high in this area as well. I'm still keen to try and get that at Elon Musk's price. Also a potential head and shoulders here, but Shukri tells us that seasonally this does weaken during this particular period. So still waiting to see whether that's gonna play out. I hope it does, because I'd still like to get into Bitcoin if I can.
There's a few little things setting up on the small time frames that I'll have a look at in a bit.
Well, talking about that as well, mate. Look at the VIX, massive pop up yesterday. Huge, and this is the thing. We are getting messages from the market. And if we talk about all the different pieces that we're getting just on charting, forgetting what the fundamental picture is telling us, but we know the fundamental picture. We know that services PMI came in weaker than expected. We know that the jobs numbers came in weaker than expected, and we know that the bond rate the bond yield continues to stabilize, if not rise. But look at this, VIX showing a pretty strong engulfing bar there from a low. This is a low ebb down here, so it's had a pretty big bounce up there from that low ebb. We've got the Nasdaq showing further negativity here. That was the Nasdaq's bar yesterday. Further negativity to the downside, creating the neckline, the head and shoulders pattern. FTSE not really worth mentioning. S&P, very similar looking to the Nasdaq. It's probably got a little bit further to travel. So there is a pickup in volatility. There looks like a bit of a pickup in negativity as well, which brings you to your point about short-term trade. It's not quite the same today. We're not seeing the same velocity of movement, but there is some nervousness going on, and coming back to Bitcoin as well. There is this nervousness going on. That was the bias on Bitcoin. Maybe it's not that notable, but it did feel like Bitcoin was on the move a bit yesterday as well, as everything else was. And the dollar index, of course, we mustn't forget. Dollar index 2 days ago, the dollar index saw some negativity, but yesterday it came roaring back again. Certainly looks like it's picking up some pace here, doesn't it? The dollar index.
It does, but again, how many days in a row? 2 days on, 1 day off,
Yes,
2 days
yes.
on, 2 days off, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Does Jerome Powell, back to what could be a driver? Does Jerome Powell say something here? You notice the M24 freezes every now and then lately. I haven't noticed that actually, Helen. I haven't noticed that. You see zinc, aluminium, copper, all headed down. I haven't even looked at that stuff actually. Yeah, look at last week's bar on copper, and this is this is a really good barometer for the stock market as well. Yeah, copper does look quite under pressure, doesn't it? I haven't got zinc and aluminium on this chart, but I do have copper, and copper does look like it's heading down. So there's a little bit of market pressure coming into play here, mate, which I hope to be able to play to the upside. Interestingly, gold has done practically nothing over the period. So even though there is that nervousness out there, we're not really seeing it manifest itself into higher gold prices. Gold is it looks like it looked like 2 days ago that it was finding some sort of bottom. Yesterday's low wasn't helpful. For that bottom, we are definitely in an area that gold could start to strengthen, though. I'm not exactly sure where this trend line is, but it could be there. It could be there, and we're right on top of it potentially. And I quite like that one, because if we look across at some of these horizontal levels, in actual fact, it does look like it could be a little bit lower. But anywhere in this area, gold is looking like a buying opportunity. Might even drop down to 1660. I don't know, but we are in the buy zone. We are sort of like starting to hit that buy zone with gold. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. Which I've started to accumulate gold, as you know, mate. But I'm still kind of holding on to all that.
Seems the market's got a little bit of a set against it at the moment. Even the sentiment that you hear in the street, is kind of sell gold right now, and it's kind of hard to understand.
It is. I mean, Helen's saying that if Treasury yields head down with Jerome Powell's comments, then gold is a buy, and you're absolutely right. It is, because we are seeing that inflation. Hey, Lewis, how you doing, buddy? We are seeing that inflation, but if he doesn't say anything, and Jerome Powell historically has always been. I don't know if historically is the right term, but he's always been quite cautious. Aside from the kind of Donald Trump bullying kind of period that they did go through a little bit, he's always been relatively calm and relatively measured. So I'm not sure whether he's going to say anything significant about the bond yield, and whether he will try and intimate that there will be some controlling of the bond yield. But he may, because it might be getting to the point where it's getting a little bit concerning. I don't know. It's a strange one, really, because the market almost seems to be sending one message, and the Fed seem to be coming out and sending a completely different message. And it is, it appears to be a message of relative calm. So is it calm before the storm? Who knows? Who knows? I mean, right now the dollar is stable. Gold is stable, but it's lower ebb. Stock markets are easing to the downside. I'm not going to call them tanking, because they're not really. They're easing to the downside. But it could just be, ready for the next leg higher, which I think with stock markets it is, and I am keen to buy the Russell 2000 if I can get on board. But yeah, the gold situation has surprised me, and silver. Silver's also in the doldrums now as well, and I know you probably don't really want to look at this chart, because I know you were making a play on silver, but silver's also, and look where silver is. Silver's also right on top of a trend line, so you would suspect that silver should be able to get something of some upside here, but maybe not. There's a fairly good horizontal level here as well. Maybe silver doesn't. Maybe silver's also headed down. But if you look at most of the reports, silver's demand is picking up. The gold demand seems to be picking up, but if we think about one of the plays with gold, one of the reasons that people buy gold is to protect against to protect their portfolio. They're not really doing that, which is quite interesting. The stock market is coming down, and yet people aren't buying gold to protect their portfolio. They're not buying bonds, otherwise the yields wouldn't be going up. So I'm not quite sure where the money's going right now, mate, unless
Well, there's a lot of
you're
people
holding
buying
cash.
property apparently all over the world. Prices are just going
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, that's true. That is
Mm.
true. And Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, yesterday, which is why I wanted to look at Taylor Wimpey as a house building stock, because Rishi Sunak was quite positive on promoting the property market by extending stamp duty holiday, right, where you don't have to pay stamp duty up to. I'm not sure if it's up to 250. No, I think it's up to £500,000. You don't pay stamp duty, and that's going to be extended right until the start of the summer. And there was some other thing that they had, and I can't remember what it was now. Some other. Oh, that's right. They're back to the 95% mortgage rate.
LVR.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
loan to value, yeah. Which I thought that was gone. I thought that was never coming back after the financial crisis. But
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? I mean, common sense says to you that they had to learn from the global financial crisis, where, in Australia, I think it was 106% you could borrow. Insane.
wow, that is insane. Well, what we've got now is banks basically saying no, and the government saying, look, we will back them. We will back the mortgages, because the banks are obviously nervous about doing that again. But the government are coming out and saying that they will, they are going to be backed by government money, insurance. Sorry, the insurance that they're insured by the government. So they will be certainly put under some pressure to get back on that 95% mortgage. So they're trying to get people to go out and buy houses again. It does
Well,
seem to be, John. Yeah, it does seem to
history
be.
repeats itself.
Every teenager is buying crypto. It's so true, Helen. So true. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because the conversations that we've been having for the last 5 years is that our generation won't be, or let's say it a different way, the next generation won't have the same wealth as the previous generations. But I think when that statement was made, they weren't really banking on all the teenagers buying cryptocurrencies, because, certainly Bitcoin has proved to be a store of value. I mean, who knows how long that goes on for? I don't know, but institutes are now in. The likes of Elon Musk is now in, and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies do seem to be the name of the game and the way of the future. So yeah, maybe that statistic won't come true after all. Who knows?
Just remember the one side of the boat.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it, mate? That is the thing, which is why I want to buy it at the same price as Elon has bought it at. I don't want to buy it here.
Mm-hmm.
50,000, it seems to be a little bit pricey. And I've got a way, I don't want to own actual Bitcoin. I'm not completely against it because of the ways that you can stake it, but and get rewards that way. But I think there might be a different way to play the Bitcoin movement. But I'm not paying for it here. Anything between 35 and 40 from here, fine. I'm in, no problem. But I'm not buying up here. Not a chance. That looks pretty compelling, doesn't it? I mean, it's got a little ways to go, but to me that looks like a relatively. Don't like the fib. Can't put it from there really. No, there's a fib from this particular this last one here. Yeah, 40,000 looks to me about right, mate. 40,000, get me in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking at with Bitcoin. So yeah, that's where I'm at, mate. That's really it for me. I'm not probably looking to do anything until Jerome Powell's speech, but I think I've flagged up the things that I will have to listen to in his speech, and if he says any of those things, then it will define whether I'm in the market or not.
All right, mate. I'll have a look and see what's happening around the grounds. I've been scurrying. That's the word I'm looking for. Around the 30-minute charts, trying to find something. There's a few, as I said, there's a few things that look interesting, but
scouring.
That'll do.
I mean, that's what we're here for, to help each other out, right? Scouring, I think. Is
Thanks, mate. Yeah, appreciate that. That's all good. So, a few things I'm looking at and thinking, oh, that doesn't look too bad. This is one of them. But it's kind of against my grain because, you know, this base here, followed by a higher high, or a couple of them really, then a higher low on the pivots, suggests to me that this is going that way. But then we've got this scenario where we've got a break below the daily, no close, but a break below the daily pivot. And it's a break and retest after a false break of the weekly pivot. That's interesting because we couldn't get through that level. Once, twice, no, down, false break. Interesting. That bar is tradable, I reckon. It is the low of the day, but it's a new low, so that's all good. Yeah, we're going to go short dollar CAD on the 30-minute chart. We've got a long in place, right, on the daily chart, I think it is. Yep, the daily chart. So I don't see any problem with that at all. Will I confuse everything if I put that on? I don't think so. All right, so let's just do that. It's a sell on dollar CAD. Level will be, it's not going to show me. Gotta love that. Gotta love it. Crosshairs. Levels 126.30. Let's go 126.39. 29 rather. On 26.29. And the stop loss, we'll sneak it above that doji, I think, and put it there. 126.52. Okay, this is just a little short-term play. And what we're looking for here is these lows. So around about the DS1 mark, really. So risk to rewards, not fantastic, but 20 odd pips into, it's about 1-to-1. So we're not going to take any profit here until we get to that level. So stand by on that one. A few more I'm looking at. Euro CAD, I was keen to get short, but I can't now, not from here. It's too late. Pound looks as though it wants to get short, but it's not sure. Nothing there for me. Or, okay. Actually, there might be. And then it's a bit rugged, isn't it? I'm thinking long, not short, by the way. And I can't see it. You could think about trading the breakout of the high, but no, it's not great. Not great. Kiwi CAD. Yeah, look, I want to trade this one as well. My goodness, we're going to have trades everywhere. I'll put this on the trade manager. Because if I've got too many in the market, I'll never follow them. Again, 30-minute chart. Sorry, hourly chart. We're trading long above this bar here, and we will put our stops. We'll just trade the bar. That's fine. Entry. Entry will be at why isn't it showing me? Oh, I do get frustrated. Righto, we're going in at 91.93. That'll be the entry. Helen, if you follow this, you should be able to work this one out. Stop loss is just below the bar. The low of that bar is, better hurry up if this gets a little bit frisky, we'll miss it. 91.78. 0.9178. And we'll get rid of the take profit level. We will use TP1 as this high here. I think might be a little bit skinny. We better put something in for the moment though. I'll just leave it at default and go back to it just in case we get triggered here. Okay, so TP1 actually is roughly in the right place, I would have thought. Doesn't look too dusty. So we'll leave it at that. TP1 is at 6 pips, I think. Yep, that's the default setting. So 6 pips of TP1. What's our risk? 15. So that's fine. And target looks like monthly pivot, doesn't it? 15, 20. It's not that great. Yeah, we might use the high. We'll use that. 90 to 20 will be our target. What are we getting in at? 91.93, so 27 pips will be target. That's stop loss. That's not target. There we are. 27. Okay, modify.
So
Right,
Kiwi,
that's
are you going short Kiwi or long Kiwi, mate?
Long Kiwi CAD.
Yep.
Just a short-term play up to here. That's it. We're out there. Dollar CAD was the same, just a short-term play down to this level. And what else have we got going? Euro pound wouldn't have triggered yet. No,
yeah,
but how's that?
Telling me something quite interesting about the milk prices in New Zealand.
You're right.
And yeah, he was saying that effectively it sounds quite bullish for the Kiwi, which I thought was quite interesting to watch. He said keep an eye on it. He said not saying just go into it, but keep an eye on it because those milk prices look like they might be inflating more aggressively than prior. I mean, and it's really interesting. I hadn't really considered it really. I mean, it's interesting when you start looking at other economies, different economies, and what are the drivers. And it makes sense, doesn't it? That milk would be a driver for New Zealand.
Of course, absolutely.
You'd have to put a chart correlating the movement to really see it. You're looking at the pound. You're about to get triggered into that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Well, Lewis is saying to look at the euro dollar short, and I have to say I agree with him on that. I think that the euro dollar does look like a short, and the dollar looks like it's picking up a bit of pace here. Just quietly. Looks like it's picking up a little bit of interest here.
Yeah, well, if it gets above this level, then it could well be on its way to here.
Yes,
that's true. It rejected that level on Tuesday, but looks like it wants to have another crack at it. So
yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, break, retest, go.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, wouldn't be averse to playing that one.
I'm going to have to learn how to trade on this bloody trading view thing. I'm sure I'll get it wrong.
Yeah, but for the first time.
So Helen, the experiment, there it is right there. Lewis, euro dollar. Yeah,
it's certainly a dollar story. I'm seeing gold coming down. We're just seeing that pound coming down, and I think the euro will probably be doing the same thing.
Then we're probably too late.
Well, unless there's an opportunity for a retracement, which there probably will be.
Untested daily pivot.
Untested daily pivot, yeah.
And yeah, if it closes below this level, then you've got a case, I suppose. But until it does,
Would you really want to get in before Jerome Powell? I don't know if you would. I think this could be a bit choppy. I know it's looking like a breakout right now, but that could just be a few people trying to take a position early. I think it could get a little bit sticky, you know, in something like this. Is your take profit down at the monthly pivot there, mate?
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, it looks like the.
Well, that's the optimized version. I would have been, where's the low of the 3 bars? We would have been in on 9 o'clock. I'm on the half-hour chart. No wonder I can't read it right. So we would have been in on this bar here. Stop loss there. We would have had TP1 by now, easily. And TP2 would be 24 pips, which is there.
That looks like a nice area, doesn't it?
To get out, yeah. Well, to get TP2, yes, definitely.
And I suppose when it comes down to these parameters, sometimes, you know, if you eyeball it, you can almost see which one would be the better one out of the two of them on the day.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Yes. If you've got a really wide range on the optimized version, your reward is potentially very, very small, certainly compared to your risk.
Yeah.
Whereas on my version, you've still got, you know, a very tight range in here, and that's what we need to get maximum gain, you know.
Yeah. Do you know, mate? I do wonder whether it's it might actually take a little bit of human judgment to pick the best. You know, that it's kind of one or the other depending on the day, and that there's probably just something else you can look at and say, actually, this is the right one today.
I think so. You know, your normal filters that you see with your eyes, and that you've, you know, been trading for 100 years, you know, trade into an untested daily pivot, right? If you're going long here, you got rocks in your head, you know.
Yeah.
Second time round, no problem. But you know, those sorts of things. And I even didn't take the trade on, I think it was Monday, for that very reason. The pivots were just so close together in here. Was it Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday? Where's the 9 o'clock bar?
Where's silver? 26.
So yeah, we had an option of trading short here. Was it here? 9 o'clock. Yeah, we had an option to trade short here where we had, where's the monthly pivot? Yeah, we were trading straight into the monthly pivot or straight into the daily pivot. So I just said, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
and at best, it would have been a break-even trade.
Yeah. So yeah, actually make a bit of money on not putting that on the spread. Yeah, Lewis saying about the silver going to 25. Interesting. What I'm seeing with both gold and silver is some accumulation, and I don't know whether it's going to turn here. You know, we know the 1680 on gold is the price point, and maybe it flushes down to that 1680 level, but 1700 is a round number, and we've tested that level now, and it could be that we turn here. I don't know. I am seeing some accumulation in gold, so I think gold might be getting close to a pop. Now, and as I say, you got to be careful, because the first move that we've seen so far this morning looks like some speculation on what Fed chair might say later on, what Chair Powell might say later on, but it is still speculative. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that the dollar against all its pairs, the euro, the pound, the you know, silver and gold, just kind of get a bit rangy, you know, kind of form some really tight patterns. And then you're just looking for a breakout of the pattern. And you could probably trade it as a breakout as well. You could probably trade it rather than a pullback trade. You could probably look at a pattern, draw it up, and just before the event, as long as it's still within a pattern, then you could probably just put a stop entry, maybe either side of it, and get away with it.
So I was going to trade this again as well, Aussie Kiwi.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you why I didn't place this order. Again, yesterday we traded this scenario here. We've got something similar where we've approached the trade line and pulled back away from it. But the problem is, if we enter here, we're straight into DR1, we're straight into the trade line, we're straight into the high of the day. That won't stop it going a million miles, but it's very, very much a low probability trade to me. So that's why I'm not going long here. I like the candles, but I don't like trading into this high. It just doesn't make sense. And then you've got another one dead ahead, So yeah, makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't, mate. And again, it's another one in a bit of a range. It's so slow. It is an incredibly slow day. I mean, you compare this to last Thursday, and it's day and night, isn't it? How different they are.
Indeed.
So far. Who knows? It could be the quiet before the storm. Don't take your eyes off it. But I would say that anybody looking to get a trade on today, I'd be very, very careful until the US opens up later on. I would suggest taking a break for a good 4 hours before having to sit down in front of your computers again and check it out. So maybe 4 or 5 hours. And if you need to take your eyes off the market, then just shut everything down and come back. And if you miss it, you miss it. But I don't think we're going to get much, mate, and for the next 4 or 5 hours. I really don't. I think it's going to be really slow.
Look, it's looking that way. I agree. The pound's coming back off that level straight away. Interesting. That is, just going to exactly what you said. And I suspect that we are going to see a little bit of a rangy scenario for a little bit.
And mate, it might be. You see that lower level there on the 2nd of March? It's basically bounced off the trend line, isn't it?
2nd of March.
Yeah, the lowest point on your chart there. Yeah, and then you extrapolating the trend line up there, it's basically bounced off that trend line.
So far.
Yeah, maybe
which
not
makes
actually.
It trapped in there,
Yeah, there is, isn't there? I mean, you can see there's a horizontal level there as well. But if that's the pattern, and that's what I'm talking about, if we're remaining within this in the next few hours, actually, I wonder whether it's more off that weekly pivot area. Sorry, the monthly pivot. I wonder if it's that low off the monthly pivot that the trend line needs to be drawn from. I just wonder whether we are kind of like, there. I wonder whether we're just getting a bit of a triangle pattern on quite a few of these currency pairs against the dollar, and we should just be leaving it to form that, not trading it before the meeting, and then just putting orders above and below.
Well, look at the daily pivot.
Yeah, pretty flat, isn't it?
It started on Monday at 139.45.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently at 139.56. So 11 pips above where it started the week.
Yeah.
That's telling you a fair bit.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
And it hasn't moved either side of the weekly or the monthly. So
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, what a great indication of the end of a trend. When you get that kind of the first daily pivot that just goes nowhere pretty much on the 1st of March. It maybe does give an indication that, or the 2nd of March, I should say, that maybe gives an indication of an end of trend, because just from what I can see on your screen, the daily pivot before that was stepping really nicely.
Yep.
Yeah, look at those steps. I mean, it's some.
It tends to suggest to me that this is going to go somewhere when it does go, but where, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They tend, analysts tend to suggest that the longer it's held up, the more likely it is to go in the direction of the trend. But
yes,
Yeah, I suppose you've got to make that argument, but gee whiz, I would like to catch that nowhere near the highs. I'd certainly like to be catching it down here somewhere.
Yeah.
And vice versa if I'm going the other way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not really a fan at the moment. As I said, I've sacked the dollar and now I've placed 2 trades on it this week.
Yeah, I know, mate. Yeah, I did the same with the pound. Just too tough to trade some of these things, and sometimes you have to just lick your wounds and say it beat me.
Yeah, like silver. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, I don't think it did beat you. It just ended up that you didn't get your order in.
I missed TP1 or something, didn't I? I can't remember.
Oh,
now.
you did. Yes, you did. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
what happened.
More user error, I guess.
Exactly. Absolutely true. So yeah, look, I really haven't got anything to add. I don't think. Why have I got an order Kiwi CAD on H? It's not H4. That's why. It's a 30-minute chart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or hourly chart. Can't remember. Hourly chart. Yep. Playing that bar there. Okay, so there's that Kiwi CAD. There's pound Kiwi, which is floundering at the moment. But actually, that'd be a nice place to go long if you've got a bullish outlook and not in a trade. Aussie Kiwi, we refuse to take that one. Kiwi CAD, pound in the breakout trade, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to trade this long.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse you guys, but that's looking good to me. I'd prefer that it had come down to here, I've got to say, and then get back above here. But I can see along above this level. The problem I've got is that that's the high of the day, and I can't trade into the high of the day. So how do I get in here? I can trade beyond the high of the day. I could go in there, but then I'm trading into that level. No, I've got to see, I want to trade it from down here, not up here. So I'll wait for that. I'll wait for the false break. I'll just give you a heads up. If it comes down to monthly pivot, all the better, then gets back above that trade line, in better still above the daily pivot, comes back and retests it. That's your trade. That's where I want to be. And Euro Pound, we've got one set on that, trading the false break of this trade line and also double cross on weekly pivot and daily pivot. So entries here. Why is that not showing up? Because it's expired. Okay, I better replace that. They're the levels anyway, for those of you who want to have a look at that one. And mate, I think that's about me.
Cool, man. All right. It is definitely me as well.
EuroCAD. That's the hero of the week, I think, EuroCAD. We finally got our TP1 after 2 months nearly. So we'll celebrate on the back of that and on the back of Giro's trade on, when was that? Monday, I think. The pound Swissy. Wow, it should have stayed in. Giro, look at it go. Amazing.
Yeah.
We could have traded that every day. We traded it here. Don't see a way in there. Maybe above that bar, but that's not the right time at all. Break and retest. There you go. You could have traded that. And there's a nice little slingshot set up there as well. Man, that was the one to follow this week, obviously.
Yeah, not too good numbers either from the Swissy this week. So
yeah, look, I was very keen to get short Swissy yen, but that just went too fast. We were looking for a pullback, I think, to the weekly pivot or maybe even the monthly pivot. Didn't happen. Just went bang straight. Now we're at the bottom of the range. We're thinking about going the other way, and that's probably where we'll finish up. We'll see. So there you go, mate. Few orders, but nothing special going on.
Okay, well, everybody watch out for 5 o'clock UK time, which is in around about 6 hours time. That's when Chair Powell is out. And I guess we will do it all again on Monday, mate. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe, and you too, mate. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself.
Absolutely, buddy. Yourself. I'll be busy as usual, but I'll be updating those positions if they do trigger, and the positions that we are in the Telegram group. Hopefully do that tomorrow. If not, throughout the evening tonight. We'll see how we go.
Great stuff.
See you guys. Have a good one, mate.
Yeah, you too, man. You too. See you later, guys. See you soon. See you next week.
Thanks for your company, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.